What's up, everyone? I'm Merk, and this is Trading Shots, a show where our panelists debate all things CWL. I'm handing out points for strong arguments and hot takes. Today, we are back from California, talking Anaheim and ROSTERMANIA with our guests, Nameless, Maven, and Pacman. Good to have you guys, as always. How are we doing today, boys?
Feeling great.
Yeah?
I think it's the first time we've been on the same
Let's
episode
go! I've had a bunch of caffeine. I was up at 4:30 for my flight to get here for Trading Shots. I'm very, very excited.
Three excuses.
Hey!
Three excuses.
Already.
Well, it sounds like he's had a lot of prep time now on the plane.
I got here a little bit early, took some notes.
Are you so high up, dude? Come down. You're making us look tiny.
This is the whole way up. What's up, Tyrion? No, see, here, I'll come. Is that better? There we go.
Yeah, sure. A little bit.
I can't go any lower.
He's just a tall
Giant
man.
good now? I'm a big
tall
boy.
man.
I'm a big boy.
Big boy. All right, guys, let's get it going with First Blood. Anaheim had some impressive plays and surprising failures, but I want to know is what is your biggest takeaway from Anaheim? Nameless, we're going to start with you. What was the biggest takeaway for you?
The biggest takeaway for me is that United cannot win an event. And the reason that I think United can't win an event is because if they were going to win one, it would have been this. They looked incredible in Search and Destroy prior to this. They have a perfect 7-0 week in the Pro League where they beat 100 Thieves 3-0, absolutely dominated them. Pristini was playing the best Call of Duty that he has ever played in his entire life. And the question was, if Clay and Pristini step it up, this is a team that will win a championship. They didn't even get top 4. They got crushed, and I think United can't win an event.
Well, I think the big thing, too, for United is one of the discussions that we were having was what happens if Simp shows that he's human, right? Like, he doesn't step up and drop a 1.3 in every single game mode, and that did happen at Anaheim. And then you look at your other guys to step up, and they didn't. So, yeah, I think, we were very surprised for United. Maven, for you, what was your biggest takeaway from Anaheim?
My biggest takeaway, practice makes perfect. I'll tell you what, ever since I've been involved in Call of Duty, there's been this stigma around practicing Search and Destroy where teams don't do it. Teams don't give it their all. We don't want to give away strats. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. 100 Thieves won what? 40% of their Search and Destroys at London still won the event. That was their biggest flaw. I talked to Crowder about it, Octane about it, Slasher about it. They put so much time into Search and Destroy. They're putting money on the line against top amateur teams, against Search and Destroy stars. They put in time that we haven't seen teams do. There wasn't a fall off on Respawn. Then they go up to what, an 87% win rate in Search. They lost one Search and Destroy on the weekend. They were incredible in every mode. They look like a perfect team right now. And for me, I just like to see that, because I've been saying that forever. Like, why the hell don't teams practice Search? They did it. They got better. They look incredible, man.
Well, I think one of the big points, too, that you brought up is usually what happens when we see a team really focus on, like, a Game 3,
There's
for
a fall
example,
off.
right? There's a fall-off in their hard point. And
They lost 4 maps.
yeah, they lost 4 maps. It was just a ridiculous weekend from 100 Thieves. That's why they are our champions as well. Pacman, for you, your biggest takeaway?
Mine is that Optic has severe role issues when it comes to beating the upper echelon teams. By that I mean the 100 Thieves, FaZe, Gen G, and now it's going to be SPLYCE, LGs of the world. They don't have a grapple song. So in those moments when you need that other guy to go off, that Maddox player to go off, you now have like Dashy running your second ICR. That's a problem against a team like 100 Thieves. They don't have a guy that can grapple in and get these things done. That's why they're losing respawns to these top teams. It works against the lower tier teams. They have so much talent, they can get by with that. Dashy had what, 8,700 damage, 49 kills in the map, and that was the only map he won. So it took a incredible superstar performance to beat a team like 100 Thieves because their teamwork and their roles do not work well against the top teams. They need to fix something up. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it's going to be, but obviously whoever's running their SOG needs to run that grapple, just like all the other top teams, because it's not working currently.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the issue for a while for Optic Gaming, right? I mean, they put TJ on the grapple. It didn't work out well. He wasn't making the best decisions, put him back on that battery. Well, you're getting what you want out of TJ, but it seems like really the veterans between Crimsix, Scump, and Karma have to figure it out, because TJ and Dashy right now are playing at a ridiculously high level, and the fact that they're not playing for titles, I think, is very surprising to a lot of us.
You're missing Formal's AR right now.
Yeah, you would love to have that ICR, right? I mean,
or didn't they have Octane on their team last year and then they dropped him?
I think they might have.
We can't talk about...
Wasn't Octane on Octane?
All right, listen. That's true, but we can't talk about the mistakes that they made.
No, I know.
It's just like, wow, they made the God Squad.
Well, yeah, they won Vegas.
They won Vegas and lost 4
I agree with you. It's just like this game is obviously very AR heavy. 5v5 has even implemented that more, and it's just like they're a very good team, but you had an Octane, you had a Formal. I just can't help thinking about that when I look at it.
They just have role issues right on their team. That's a problem. That's one of the best Maddoxes, if not the best Maddox, and they take him off of Maddox to run
Scump might have to figure out how to use grapple.
Maybe even an ICR, right? I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that team? We'll see. But moving on, I want to know what player or team surprised you the most at Anaheim. There was some good performances, some great performances, then just some absolutely terrible performances. Maven, we're going to start with you.
Sure.
What surprised you the most in Anaheim?
Where I looked at the positives for 100 Thieves at the Search and Destroy, I have to look at United with the negatives. This is a team that, how many times did we on the desk say, the best Search and Destroy team? They look so good. They were flawless. Whenever they had man advantage situations, they seemed to always handle it. They looked calm, cool, collected. There were very few mistakes in Search and Destroy, and I thought that's what would carry them maybe to a championship. They go 4-5. Like, they had such a big fall off, and it's not all on Pristini, but obviously he was the guy we were hyping a lot going into this event. He had a .68 in Search and Destroy. He did not have a great event considering where he was in the 2 weeks leading up to it. But I was genuinely shocked because, like, it's like death and taxes. Like, no, they weren't a lock to be great in Search, but you felt really good. Like, you knew that even if they struggled in respawns, they get it done in Search. They'd have a lot of extended series. They'd be able to make a run into the tournament. How do you go 4-5? Like, I just don't know how they got there from perfect to 4-5. It blew my mind.
Mind-blowing because they got to a championship and then looked like they got better since then. And then they just played.
And I get people can have it. I get people can have an off weekend, like an individual can slow down. We didn't think Simp would have the same London. We didn't think Pristini would keep having like a 1.3. I get that. But it's a team effort. You think even if somebody falls off, they'd still be able to produce in Search. At least better than 4-5. Like, that's just not good. And they're not a team like 100 Thieves that can win an event going 40% win rate. Like, some teams can get away with it. They are not that team. So they've got to fix it. It was just weird to see that fall off. I was genuinely surprised. I think that's the thing that stood out to me the most.
All right, Pacman, for you, biggest surprise at Anaheim.
Oh, it's easily envious going 0-12. Like, that's without a doubt easy for me. They have one of the people I call a glitch, right? The Dashy, Octane, Temp. They have Hook on their team, had Hook on their team, and they didn't win a map. They got 3-0'd by Ricky. Like, I don't know what happened to them going into this event, but a guy like that, a guy like Hook could get you one map. I promise you, if I go to the event with Hook, I'm winning a map with Maven on my team, running around baiting for me.
I'm a beast.
No, you're not, but we're getting a map.
Question for you, though. All right, real quick, though. Let's say, okay, with how bad they were, though, if you had to pick them getting top 4 at that event or not winning a map, which would you have leaned? Because I would have picked not winning a map.
No way.
Whoa.
No,
not winning a
They
map?
looked awful.
No, they looked bad.
They looked awful.
They looked bad.
If I had to pick between getting a repeat performance of London with how bad they were, I would have picked not winning a map, personally.
The gap between being bad and not winning a map is
Aches has done it in Anaheim before. Granted, that 100 Thieves team
he was teaming with, like,
trash.
Nelson and stuff. So, like, no, sorry, Nelson, but yeah. But now he's teaming with Hook to not win a map with that guy, or to not win a map with...
I'm surprised. They were bad, bro. They were bad.
People that you thought that people were...
That's an absurd statement to say that team's not going to win a map.
Pharaoh won a championship, got to a grand final last season. He was on 100 Thieves this season.
Yep.
Yeah, they
We've seen miraculous top 4
players.
places.
Decimate was a guy that people...
I still think if I had to pick between like the high and the low, and I was going
There's
with
not
the low
many
for
Pro
them.
League teams that go to events and don't win a map. Like, I don't even...
Rarely
It's
have that.
surprising. I guess I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was very surprising, especially after that top 4 in London. So I guess we could say when people ask what is a honeymoon period, I think that is very much a big example.
Sure.
Nameless, for you, what was that big surprise in Anaheim?
I think that big surprise was Enigma 6, right? Like, Enigma 6 was not that great in the league. They were choking a lot of their matches in the first week. They got a little bit better the second week, but they went game 5 like every single match. They go to this event. They go 9-1 in group play, which was the best group play record out of any team. I think maybe 100 Thieves had the same one, but either way, tied for number 1. And then after that, Rex starts to go off. He had the number 1 adjusted KD at the entire tournament, and this player has never even come close to having statistics like that before in his entire life. Like, whoever predicted Rex to be a player to go off like that?
See, I agree with the Rex side of it. I just feel like I guess your overall narrative for this is flawed in the sense of if you're going to pick E6, because they were poor in the league, like I guess Gen G would be the one that would jump to my mind because they went what 2-5.
Because
they went 2-5 in their 2 weeks and then got.
Well,
second.
I did say Gen G was going to be my dark horse because they had that pre-land and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say Gen G
they didn't look good in their 2 weeks.
Yeah, you weren't here for that episode, so let Ann talk.
So yeah, exactly. So thank you for trying to cut in and like, you know, belittle my point, but now I'm going to go ahead and continue and elaborate. No, the reason I picked them over Gen G is because I thought Gen G would actually be great at this tournament because they had that pre-land and because people took their eyes off of them. There was a lot of expectations prior to that. So now I think that people weren't expecting anything. They were able to perform a lot better, especially with the pre-land as well.
Yeah, but I think the one big thing for Enigma 6 is, well, they had another roster change, and that's what we're going to get into. That's going to do it for First Blood. Let's go ahead and take a look at our scores. I believe we're going to have Maven in first at 6 points, Nameless right behind him at 5, and Pacman with 4. But Pacman, it happens. And, well, you're going to start off with, you know, first in the quick scope. So let's get it going. This time we're going to go to one of our favorite segments where, you're going to grade the rosters for select teams from this week and defend your answers. Again, we've obviously had a lot of teams change, but we're focusing on the teams that we're going to see at Pro League this week. And we're going to start off with one of the big ones. We're going to start off with SPLYCE, who are now made up of Hook, Aqua, Looney, Temp, and Jerd. Pacman, starting with you, what do you grade this roster adding Hook? What do you grade the move?
I'm going to give it an A. And the only reason I'm not going to give it an A+ is because, just like with Optic, I think there's going to be an issue when they have to go to those 2 ICR setups. Who runs that second ICR? It's not going to be Temp, so that means you're pulling a guy that hasn't done it this whole season into a role where Aqua is kind of new at running an ICR, so now you're going to have a second ICR that's maybe Looney, maybe it's not Jerd's, Kyler. Like, they're going to have to figure that out, and that's the only reason I'm giving it an A. But other than that, they picked up 2. They have another glitch on their team in Hook. And they have 2 grapple song players when a lot of teams don't have 1. That's incredible.
It's got to be Temp to run the second ICR.
He's not doing it.
He's got to be.
I've talked to him. He's not doing it.
I mean, I like that point, though, right? Because I think a lot of people are like, wow, you have Hook on this team with Temp now. Like, you bring up the role issues that we see time and time again with teams. I like that point a lot. Man, I'll give you a little bonus point in there. That's what we talk about, starting off first in Quizco.
You could just veto gridlock every series.
I mean, you could, but you still got to play maps like Arsenal.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
There's always different
You don't
chances.
need 2 ICRs like every single time. You can run, if you have godlike players, you just run another Maddox.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Now, Nameless, for you, what do you grade this roster addition to Hook?
AAA+++++ bonus, super extra credit. This is the best roster change that was made during this time. I can't believe that it was even allowed to happen. Hook and Temp on the same team. They've been wanting to team with each other this entire game. They teamed with each other in World War II. Neither one of them were that good at that game. They break apart. A game comes out that they're both incredible at, and they're like, dang, I wish we would have had this team that we had last year, this year. Well, you know what? You have your duo again. Temp has been incredible all season long. A lot of people would consider him top 3 unanimous player. Hook, like John said, is one of those glitches who puts up crazy stats. Them 2 together, they're going to wreak havoc on the map.
Yeah, but I think it is very high expectations, right? I mean, what we talked about, they teamed together in World War II. You didn't see success. Obviously, it's a much different game.
I have something to say to that, though. They didn't have Looney.
They did not have That's Slasher, though.
Who is chasing their first Call of Duty chip right now? Hook. Who else? Temp. And guess who gets those chips for these players who never had it before? It's Looney. And I think they will get that chip this year.
All right, Maven, to you now. What do you grade this roster?
I give it an A+. I don't know how you don't. I mean, there's like you guys always say, glitches. Like, I don't use that word that often, but like Hook is one of those guys. It's just he's like a perfect player in a lot of ways. He is. You get Hook. I don't see how you could have gotten a better player in that scenario, and you keep all of your core pieces. So I think the move is incredible. But kind of what Joe was touching on a little bit, the only way I see this going south is what was a problem for them in World War II is, yes, expectations were so high. They finally got to play together. They were looking forward to it. They thought they were going to dominate. When they didn't start out hot, pressure built until it exploded, could be a similar scenario here.
Yeah, no, it absolutely could, but I mean, you do keep like those. I think when I look at that World War II roster, we looked at them being the stars. There weren't selfless players on their team. I think now that you have Looney and Jerd on this team, maybe to go first, maybe to bait for you, figure things out, get them on the same page.
But Temp and Hook are thinking we're winning.
They're just, they're also just like better at this game than they are.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
The movement helps.
Yeah.
But the expectation, I think all of our expectations are. There's high.
I expect them and 100 Thieves to have wars.
Yeah, exactly. So if they come out and don't, but it's hard. It's hard. There's no way to like knock this move though. You got Hook.
All right. Well, SPLYCE, they made a change, but another team did as well. I want to know how you feel about Luminosity's new roster of Slack to Formal, Brack, John, and Skies. Nameless, we're going to start with you. You've been a big LG guy all year long. What do you think of this roster?
I give it a B, and for the simple reason, I think Brack and Skies are incredible players. I think Skies is going to be a great ICR. You finally have a legitimate ICR on your team, so Formal can now be a full-time Maddox, and I think he'll be a superstar in that role. I think Brack has shown signs of greatness as well. He knows the game very well. We know that he's a smart player just by watching him play, and I think he'll fit the system well. But the problem with that team, I think, is their SOGs, right? You need John, you need Slack to step up. I think one of them is going to have to become that main superstar SOG, and I just don't know if either one of them are capable of doing it. I guess I'm not as worried about Slack. I'm just more worried about John.
Yeah, we just haven't seen the John that we've wanted to see, especially in the Treyarch title, right? But I think a lot of upside for this roster. The roles fit. We'll just see if they can figure it out. Maven, for you, what do you grade this roster?
The roles fit, and that's why I give give it an A. We've been preaching
An A,
forever.
huh?
We've been preaching forever that we want to see Maddox in this, or sorry, we want to see Formal in this Maddox role. And this reminds me of last year when I feel like people forgot that how good Formal was, and then he came out and had the champs like he did last year. I think Formal is going to come out and remind people that he is one of like the top 5 players in the game. I think we're going to see him absolutely dominate. I love Skies in the ICR role. I love what we've seen from Brack this year. And John, he's been good at Treyarch titles until this point, but he has been a guy that at times is better late in titles. I think John can turn it around, and this move alleviates some of the pressure from him. I'm really excited for LG. I really am.
All right. Maven's very excited. Pacman, for you, what do you grade this roster of Luminosity?
I do agree that the roles fit, but I'm still going to give the teams this roster a B. I think there's something to be said for picking up people who have the experience in these big moments late into a season. By that I mean, right now we're going into playoffs and champs. That's it. These are the 2 big money tournaments, and now you picked up 2 players who have never placed 8th place before. So you're putting them in high pressure, high leverage situations with guys that are veterans and who have been there. And if they crack a little bit under the pressure, they're in a spot where now they're expected to succeed. Not just play well in the roles, to succeed. If they don't do well, it just puts so much pressure on these young guys. And I just don't think that they're going to do it as easily as you made it seem.
Oh, no, I mean, Brack and Skies, they're big question marks. Like, they've been very good, but this is their chance, right?
Stat-wise, but
we all agree this is their chance, both of them.
Well, I had to talk with Formal about this very subject, and he was like, man, we just missed out on getting some of these like young superstars. He's like, Simp, all these guys that are coming up in the scene that are great, like we keep missing out on
all
it
the top teams got one, right?
Because of that sort of mentality. So it's like, we're finally going to take this risk and pick up players.
I mean, it's paid off for just about everybody outside like Blast.
And these guys have like really proven themselves too, like in the Pro League, in matches. So I think it'd be okay.
Yeah, I think Luminosity, a lot of eyes on them, but just the way this is shaping up, it's going to be difficult to play at the highest level because there are some stacked rosters, and you still have 100 Thieves, you still have United, you still have Optic Gaming. Like, it's going to be tough. You're going to hope for a new level out of Skies and Brack.
Nothing to lose with your spot. You're in the league, though.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it going. Next up is Enigma 6 with General, Mayhem, Brezzy, Kismet, and GodRx. I think a lot of us were very surprised when this roster move went down, especially after a top 6 performance at Anaheim. Maven, we're going to start with you. What do you think of this Enigma 6 roster?
I give it a C, and I think kind of what you said. They just got top 6. GodRx seems to be getting informed. It feels like they finally clicked. They had all those game 5s in the league where I think we were kind of knocking them. They were taking people deep, but they weren't winning. Now we see they can win. Now we see they can perform when you make this change. I guess I didn't really understand it, and I won't pretend to know the inner workings of it, but I was a bit shocked when this happened. I thought they were going to prove on what they just had. They must have thought the ceiling could be higher with this particular squad. I do love Brez. He's like the last French player in the league. He's been sensational. I'm excited to see him on a team. I'm just not sold on it. I find myself not feeling great about it. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, like, really? They're going to do this now?
I saw it was just like, all right.
It's weird.
Well, and it's also different because, they get top 6 at Dallas, and then they go through a change, and they struggle at London. They struggle through the Pro League.
You don't have time
you have no time to struggle. And I think the past point with Luminosity, you're picking up a couple of players. How are you going to perform at the biggest events of the year? But now to Pacman, what do you think? What do you grade this Enigma 6 roster?
I'm going to give the Enigma 6 roster a C-. I don't necessarily think that they shouldn't have made a move. I really do think that they should have maybe made a change, but not dropping Frosty from their team. There's something about having a champion on your team, a guy that's played in super high-leverage situations multiple times and come out victorious. You drop him when GodRx is feeling comfortable. So you have a guy that's helping these other guys. Every single player that goes off has somebody helping him. You drop him, and then you drop Jet Li, sure, but you don't pick up another grapple Sog. That is my huge issue. Those are so hard to come by. Brezzy's a Sog, not a grapple Sog. So now I know that E6 is sitting there with role issues. They're struggling. The grapple Sog is the hardest role to get used to because of all the timings. It feels like you're giving away your life. It's
late.
You have to pick, it's late to get somebody to learn to run a grapple Sog.
Well, now what? You probably look at Kismet to run that for them.
But
and Kismet's been so good for Enigma,
so why would you
he's been a
change his
star.
role?
That's the big question mark. I think that's why a lot of people are like, it just feels like it's starting to gel. But I think really what Maven said, I don't think they trust that roster to place past top 6. So they're taking the risk.
It's like they knew their ceiling, I guess.
Yeah, Nameless for you, what do you grade this roster?
Just putting myself in sort of their mind state, I mean, I guess I would give it a B-. Like, I don't absolutely hate it, just because I think General, Kismet, and GodRx were their 3 best players and their most integral part of their team. So if they look at the rest of their team, they're like, I think our limit is top 6. We need to make a change. I understand it. Maybe just the players that they got, right? Like, we don't really know how Brezzy is going to fit on this roster, right? And the last time they got top 6, they made a roster change, and they were horrible for a while, and then they finally started to get a lot better towards the end. So, You know, I think I just give it a B- because I can understand from a player perspective, but they made this mistake once. Hopefully it
I
doesn't
get that, though,
happen
but why would they think top 6 is their limit and change up the team completely when they were 1 game away from top 3?
Yeah, and they
just
also-
like Gen G just was. They went game 5 in winter semis, just like Gen G in London.
Maybe they think GodRX won't repeat this performance. Maybe
Yeah.
He most likely won't. But it's a team game.
he had the #1 AKD at the entire tournament.
I like that core, but I feel like that core, like top 6, is good.
Yeah, solid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think
General's playing the best Call of Duty he's played in a very long time on this
I
roster.
did too,
Team's
so
not
why would
winning.
you change it? We all know how much teamwork is involved in Black Ops 4.
Team's
so
not
why
winning
would
a
you-
tournament.
Yeah.
Not even this one.
They're not going to win a
But
tournament.
Kismet and Brezzy will be a solid duo
I
on
agree
the
with
map.
But you got to
try.
But
You gotta
can easily-
try.
Well, maybe
I
that's
can
the thing,
easily see
though.
them getting 12th now. Like
Yeah.
extremely easy.
And
12th,
again,
15th.
I think when we looked at Anaheim going into it, the discussion was there's going to be a team that sneaks in the top 6 or top 4 just due to how weak SPLYCE was, how weak Luminosity was, how weak these teams' rosters
teams are
were.
getting better.
Now teams are getting better. FaZe is improved, right? It just feels like the top half is really starting to stack on up now. So maybe E6 knew that, and they're trying to stack the roster with as much individual talent as possible.
Seems like a lateral move, though.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. Last but not least, though, it's Evil Geniuses. That roster is now JCap, Attach, Apathy, Exotic, and Accuracy. So, well, they drop Phantoms, they add Accuracy. Pacman, I want to know, how do you feel about this move?
I'm going to give it a B-. I mean, they picked up a guy that got into the Champs Finals last time, but I still don't think that they did enough. So you're a team that now has gotten last place 3 times in a row at majors. You replace your ICR, yeah, it's a role. It's an important role, but you didn't do anything else. Like there's no change in your song play. There's no, like, it feels like Evil Geniuses was kind of lazy in this roster period to me. They could have done a lot more to shore up some roles, use some of the pieces they have. Like, even someone like JCap, usually you don't trade him, but you could trade him and get a piece that would help you in this period. They could have done so much more.
You just wanted more from this EG roster move, right?
Yeah, because they got last 3 times. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
It hurt.
I guess they believe in their core. We haven't seen it
Why?
yet, though. Nameless, for you, what do you grade this roster from Evil Geniuses?
I think I'll give it a C+. Honestly, the Evil Geniuses organization has been through a lot this season. They made a ton of roster changes. None of the rosters have been that good. So in terms of laziness, I don't think they've been too lazy. They've tried to make it work. It just hasn't seemed to work out for them. And the roster period was very short. It was like 3 days during this time. And Accuracy was an unrestricted free agent. So these guys are very comfortable with him as a player. Later in the year, like John said, some players start to get a lot better. Accuracy has a chip on his shoulder. He's a proven ICR, and he's been late or deep into tournaments this year, so maybe he can give them sort of that edge going into these next few tournaments.
You're just hoping it's a veteran move, right?
It's a veteran move.
Because, I mean, I think to a lot of us, even the community, it was a surprise because a lot of people watched that EG team, and it was like Phantoms has been their best.
I also think EG needs to
say-
learn how to play the game a little bit better, and I think Accuracy can help teach players like Apathy and help Attach since they're good friends.
Well, we'll let Maven grade his roster, and then we'll talk about it. Maven, for you, what do you grade this EG team?
I give it a D because I just don't care. I saw this move go down. I was like, congrats on top 16 again. Maybe top 12. Like, accuracy for me, like I've been casting his career for 5-6 years now. When the game has slowed down a lot, he was solid. Like in World War II, he saw when it's fast, when there's advanced movement to it, he has never been great. Like I can't think of one title he's been solid at where there's some type of advanced movement. I know this is boots in the ground, but it's kind of not. Like with the way the slide works, with how fast you can play, most of the people excelling are your like high skill ceiling players. This move did literally nothing for me.
I feel like that you just attacked his stigma though, because he got 2nd and 3rd in this game, and you just said he hasn't been good.
Do you think? I don't think accuracy's been great in this game.
He was good at the first few tournaments for sure.
Yeah, he was really good.
He hasn't, but it wasn't.
He was probably the 2nd best.
Has he stood out enough that you were like, oh, this is a big upgrade?
No, but I mean.
For example, I think if
general-
SPLYCE had Accuracy this last weekend, like they would have played way better. I think they could have, like, with the way some of these teams played, I think they could have potentially got top 4 with Accuracy.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it just feels like Accuracy maybe is going to give these guys a little bit more flow, right? A little bit just stick to your play style.
Disciplined. Like he's one of the most disciplined ARs. Like if he can just be that disciplined AR for this team and Attach and Apathy can do their thing, I think they can be a lot better. Exotic as well.
I think EG is just hoping that your pieces that you already have play better in the big moments down the stretch. Your Attaches, your Apathies, heck, even Exotic. We've talked about him all year long, how he's been a staple piece for this EG team. You're hoping those guys wake on up.
I hope they surprise me. I mean, they have a lot of players on this team that I like.
They were my dark horse.
Like,
they didn't do well.
like, I want them to do well. I can't be the one. I saw it and I was just like, okay.
Attach was really the only player who's been consistently playing well. So I think maybe accuracy can help these guys.
Just they don't have enough firepower.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap Quizscope. Let's go ahead and take a look at our standings throughout the show. That's going to put Maven and Pacman in the top 2 spots.
Wow.
Nameless. Well.
Smoked!
Okay.
See,
Well,
Tyrion.
Nameless, yeah,
Bye, guys.
you're on a show with Maven, and he's just walking off. All right, well.
You're not gonna like.
You don't got.
I forgot my phone.
You got anything to say? Yeah, you want to say
my
bye to the Trading Shots viewers?
Yeah, bye, crew. You guys, not so much.
And it is down to 2, Pacman versus Maven. The winner will enter the Smack Talk winner circle presented by ASTRO Gaming. This being the last ROSTERMANIA before Miami and Champs, I want to know who, in your opinion, came out on top. Maven, you're in the lead. We're going to start with you.
Okay.
Who do you think came out on top?
I gave SPLYCE the highest rating with an A+ because I think that they, on paper, are the best team coming out of this. But I'm going to make the case for LG. For this reason, when you compare where LG were and where SPLYCE were, LG were at the bottom of the barrel. This is a team that won an event, go into the nightmare situation with Gunless, looked like one of the worst teams in the entire league, like a team that might get top 16. They're playing with their coach. Gunless's situation was an absolute nightmare that felt like they were being strong-armed to make a decision they didn't want to. And now you get Brack, who is one of the top rising stars in the Maddox position. You get Skies, who is a young rising star when you talk about the ICR. The roles now make sense, and I think just based on where their floor was to now I feel their ceiling is, I have to make for the case for LG. You came out of a nightmare scenario, a scenario in which one of the best players in Call of Duty is not playing on your team, and you came out of it in a fashion where I'm like, all right, I'm excited about this LG team again. I want to see what they can do. I want Formal to prove he's the best player, one of the best players in the game again. I feel very good about this move, and it's just when I compare it to SPLYCE, compare it to some of the other big moves, it just feels like it could be very much rags to riches. They looked horrible. Now they have a chance to make some noise again.
All right, Pacman, for you, who do you think came out on top?
He said it himself. SPLYCE came out and looked like the best team. Now, every time we talked about SPLYCE making a trade, getting one of those players, getting Gunless, getting Hook, every single time you made one of those trades, you had to give up Timp. Somehow, they got one of the best players in the game without trading Timp off their team. They have an unreal roster now, a roster that you expect to win championships. Since when did giving up Gunless on your team make your team make you look at your team and go, this team is great. United did it in IW. What happened? No longer even contention for a chip.
Do you think Gunless is an
Echo Fox
option,
did it
though?
in World War II. Where were they? Last at champs. You do not give up Gunless on your team and go, that was a good move. That's not what you do. SPLYCE added Hook to the roster and kept their best player. This is a championship roster in championship form. And guess what? What is the most influential move at this point in Black Ops 4? What is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's Priesta to 100 Thieves. You know what he is? An aggressive grapple player. Who they pick up? Hook! One of the best, if not the best, grapple song player in the game. How are you going to argue against that kind of talent, that kind of acquisition to a team in Black Ops 4?
You can't knock the SPLYCE move, but you're making it sound like playing with Gunless was an option. I just think it was so far past that. Like, it was not an option. Whether it was him bumping heads with management, him bumping heads with the player, that was not an option. So considering the nightmare scenario you had, like, SPLYCE was in a much better position to make kind of an easy move. They got blessed. That was incredible for SPLYCE. I gave it an A+. I agree with everything you're saying. But LG, that scenario sucked. It was horrible. From winning a championship to where they were, and the fact that they were able to come out of it with the talent they got, and young talent at that heading into franchising next year, I love it. Like, I just didn't expect them to come out that clean from it all, considering the situation with Gunless. I guess I just feel like SPLYCE's move, it came across so easy that I can almost like discredit how impactful it was. Like, it's sensational. Getting Hook is incredible, but LG's spot was so much worse, like so much worse than SPLYCE. I feel like they pulled off a miracle.
Spot was
I feel
tough.
like LG
Those
pulled
guys
off a
didn't want to
miracle.
play with each other. They were playing with a sub. Yeah, I get that LG was playing with Ricky, but it's not like those SPLYCE guys wanted to play with Nosen. The issue with the LG
it's better than playing with your coach.
The core issue with the LG team has been their aggressiveness and their SOG play, and they did nothing to address that. Instead, they picked up two guys. Yes, granted, they have been playing well.
But you don't think that change is going to help their SOGs? Like, if they get more stacked than they are,
the
get
SOGs,
Formal to a Maddox, the aggressive he plays, not going to help them?
Have not been helped by their Maddox play. That's not. It's always been the other way.
There's always
around.
a give and take with AR and SOGs. Always. There's always a give and take. ARs can help subs help ARs.
In this game, the way it is, in a lot of maps where you have one SOG player and a flex that switches off to a Maddox often, it's up to that guy to be the aggressor.
You cannot sit here and say that if your Maddox players improve, if you have better Maddox players, it's not going to help your SOG player.
I don't think they improved, so I'm going to say that.
Well, if you're including Gunless, you can't include Gunless in this. Gunless was not playing on the team when this went down. He was out of the picture. Gunless is out of the picture. You can't include that. It's insane.
So to say that, so you're saying that their Maddox play improved even though they give him Gunless. I'm just making sure that
Gunless wasn't. You're going from Ricky. We're going from Ricky to Brack. We're not
You all
going
know
Gunless
that
to
the LG
Brack.
roster at Anaheim wasn't their real
You
roster.
can't
That was
argue
just a placeholder
Gunless.
for their.
We're arguing Ricky. That is a massive upgrade.
Oh yeah, I agree. Skies is a massive okay to Ricky, but that's not what we're talking about here.
All right, boys, that is going to do it. And I will have to say, I think the way the question answers is who comes out on top. For me, right away, I think SPLYCE becomes a team that can compete for titles. They can compete at Miami. They can compete at champs. Now, can LG do it? Absolutely. But I think the big thing is it really is the SOG duo. And yes, I get that, you're having improvements elsewhere with ARs, but you had Gunless on the team. And even with Gunless, those two, yes, you had Classic as well, but Slacked and John, they still had their struggles at time. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our scores, and that is going to make Pacman
LG will outplay SPLYCE at Miami.
Okay, well, you can talk about that. Or we're going to have a bet. All right. We can talk about that later, Trading Shots. But, Pacman, you're going to the Smack Talk Winner's Circle presented by ASTRO Gaming. As the champ for the week, your prize is 60 uninterrupted seconds to say whatever you want to whoever you want. Put on that golden
100
headset.
M&Ms.
Pull down your mic. Your time starts right now.
So first off, let me say, Clint, great to have you. Nameless, wherever you are, it's awful working with you on a daily basis. Joe, I love you.
Thank you.
Guys. Now, I want to talk to the managers, the owners, whoever the hell is in charge of these rosters.
Yes.
Outside of, SPLYCE, LG did a pretty good job. I do agree with Clint in that. But you guys, this is the worst, most lazy work I've ever seen from top to bottom. UIU, Midnight, E6, Envy. Whoa, Envy. Don't get me started on Envy. You guys gave away Hook for nobody. Hello? I don't know what in the hell, just coming from that world, just knowing how hard it is and how much you can get done with certain pieces, what in the hell were you guys doing? It's like you guys said, Black Ops 4, playoffs, champs, who cares? Forget it, 100 Thieves is too good. Let's not even try to make rosters that could compete with them. This was the laziest, most absurd work I've ever seen by managers in the scene. Owners, hit up Joe, DM him, do something. He can help you out. Hit me up. I might even throw you a tidbit here and there. This was pathetic out of you guys. I'm pissed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love that because you come from that side, so you know how it works. But yeah, I think there was a lot of people that were very surprised how some of the trades worked out. And yes, I mean, I guess the one good thing, if you're talking about Envy, is at least Hook's on a loan. You'll get him back next year. But I mean, we're talking two of the biggest events in Call of Duty history, and they just lit it on fire, Pacman.
What do we have? It's like a million and a half, 2 million.
They lit it on fire.
Oh, yeah, sure. They didn't even try. They didn't think. There are free agents out there. You could have got Chino, maybe Spacely. This guy was on the top team at some point this year. Do something. You could have done something. This guy got 12th and he got 16th. Sure, let's just trade him around. Let's just trade him around. I like that play. We'll be way better.
I was technically.
We'll be way better.
I was technically available too.
Yeah,
Mind
you were
going to beat these teams.
Champion, blackout champion right there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at our show wins, and let's see how everything's starting to play out. It's been a few weeks since we've been here, but yeah, it's starting to heat up. Now you got Benson and Pacman with 5 wins, Maven at 4, Nameless at 3. So Ben and Pacman, I mean, the repetitions are paying off.
I have a higher win rate.
My percentage got to be.
I don't think it matters.
I have a higher win rate. They absolutely stink.
No, I think it just comes down to show wins.
You got to come to work.
Yeah, no, I'm being cheated.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Appreciate you all tuning in and watching. Hope you enjoy this week's matches.